let's dive right in, shall we? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep plunge, literally descending into the crushing, pitch-black depths of our oceans. Our mission? To separate terrifying internet myths from absolute, incredible scientific reality. So, buckle up. You know, it's pretty wild when you think about it, but we actually know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of our own seas. I mean, over 80% of our oceans remain completely unmapped and unexplored. So naturally, you gotta wonder, what exactly is hiding down there in the dark? Section 1. Eerie Relics of the Past, Exploring Shipwrecks and Sunken Statues.
Okay, so starting off in the shallows, we find some incredibly bizarre man-made mysteries. Take Cancun, for example. There are literally 500 human sculptures down there forming an artificial reef. It looks super creepy at first glance. And those underwater Easter Island heads you might have seen circulating online? Yeah, turns out those are just discarded movie props from a 1994 film. Oh, and in Crimea, there's a literal underwater graveyard made entirely of fallen Soviet busts. Talk about a surreal tourist attraction.
Now, other relics survive purely by geographical luck. Take the Baltic Sea. Its near freezing temperatures and super low oxygen waters basically act like a liquid time capsule. It's so pristine that it keeps 16th century wooden shipwrecks and all their cargo perfectly preserved, totally safe from those destructive shipworms that usually eat them up.
Section 2. Creepy Creatures of the Deep. Life in the Abyss.
As we go deeper into that crushing dark, the biology gets straight up alien. Take the bear-eye fish. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that those dark spots in the front of its face, they're not its eyes. They're actually nostrils. Its real eyes are those glowing green tubes, and they look straight up through a completely transparent, jelly-like dome on its head just to spot prey floating above it. Nature is wild, right?
And the barrel eye shares that total darkness with some real monsters, like the goblin shark. This thing is essentially a living fossil, and it has this crazy blade-like snout and jaws that literally shoot forward to snatch prey. Or how about the legendary giant squid? For centuries, sailors swore this massive beast was real, but it was completely dismissed as a myth. That is, until this 40-foot titan with eyes the size of dinner plates was finally filmed alive in the 21st century.
Section 3. The Mystery of the Bloop. The sound that terrified the internet.
Let's rewind to 1997. NOAA hydrophones picked up this ultra-low, incredibly loud sound that echoed across thousands of miles of ocean. You might remember the absolute frenzy that followed. For years into the 2000s, the internet ran wild with theories that it was some massive, undiscovered leviathan beast lurking in the deep. Even some scientists were scratching their heads. But eventually, science caught up. It turns out that terrifying sound wasn't a monster at all. It was an ice quake. Specifically, a process called ice calving. As global temperatures shifted, massive chunks of ice broke off the edges of Antarctic glaciers and crashed right into the ocean. When scientists finally analyzed the audio properly, it was a perfect acoustic match. Mystery solved.
Section 4. Natural or man-made structures. The Yonaguni Monument.
Discovered by a diver back in 1986 off the coast of Japan, this massive underwater structure still sparks some pretty fierce debate today. On one side, marine geologist Masaaki Kimura theorizes that these stepped monoliths are the ruins of ancient, man-made architecture. On the other hand, guys like Robert M. Schoch and the broader academic consensus argue it's entirely natural, that intense tectonic earthquakes basically fractured the local sandstone into these perfect right-angle blocks. We're just laying out the facts here, but it's a fascinating standoff for sure.
Section 5. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. A true baffling mystery.
All right, now we reach the deepest, most baffling part of our descent. In 2011, the Ocean X wreck hunting team was scanning the Baltic Sea when they found this massive 60-meter-wide disk sitting about 300 feet down. To put that into perspective, that's almost 200 feet across, and it features these bizarre straight lines, right angles, and regular steps, geometry that you rarely, if ever, see produced by nature. But wait, it gets weirder. Trailing directly behind this massive disk is a perfectly flat 1,000-foot-long drag trail. Now, normally you'd assume, okay, maybe it's just a boulder dropped by melting Ice Age glaciers. But glacial boulders don't just slide 1,000 feet across the flat ocean floor and then abruptly stop. It breaks all the usual assumptions.
And then there's the electronics issue. Directly above the object, there is a sharp 200-meter radius dead zone. Everything from modern satellite phones to professional sonar and dive computers instantly dies the second it enters this space. But the kicker?
They completely reactivate the exact second the boat backs up past that invisible line. No way, right?
Divers who actually went down there reported that the surface felt exactly like poured concrete. When they brought samples back up, they were covered in this scorched carbon residue, almost like what you'd see on a spacecraft's heat shield during atmospheric re-entry. On top of that, geological testing proved this thing had been sealed under the ocean mud for a staggering 14,000 years.
Oh, and did I mention the area emits a continuous 5 Hz pulse? This extremely low frequency, or ELF, is actually the exact frequency the U.S. Navy historically used for deep-sea submarine communication. Yet down here, there is absolutely no visible power source. None. Unsurprisingly, marine life completely avoids this patch of the sea. But even stranger is the water temperature. The water directly above the structure mysteriously plummets to 0 degrees Celsius. This means that something down there is actively drawing massive amounts of heat straight out of the water.
And here's where it leaves us. A part of the anomaly's roof has actually collapsed, revealing a dark, sealed chamber underneath. But any divers who attempt to enter face those intense electronic failures and absolutely freezing temperatures. With 80% of our ocean still completely unexplored, what do you think is waiting beneath that collapsed roof? It's a giant puzzle, and it just goes to show how many secrets are still guarded at the bottom of the sea. Keep exploring, everyone.